Hello, I'm Peter Drake. Welcome to the Drake Report. One of the top economic and market stories in late 2010 was the €85 billion loan to Ireland from the European Financial Stability Facility and the International Monetary Fund. Even though this loan carries a market interest rate and is to be repaid over a 7.5-year period, the financial press refers to it as a bailout. Whatever it's called, it raises the question of why the rest of Europe and the rest of the world through the IMF should provide aid to Ireland now as it did for Greece earlier in the year. There are two answers. One, to save Europe, and two, to calm global financial markets. Let's talk about saving Europe. Ireland and Greece together represent just 4.5% of the European economy, so you might think that whatever bad might happen to them wouldn't have much effect on the other European countries. In fact, that's not the case. Both countries are members of the 16-country Economic and Monetary Union. This group of European countries was formed in 1999, uses the euro as its common currency, and a single central bank, the European Central Bank, to set monetary policies such as interest rates. There's widespread agreement that the formation of the EMU, as it's popularly known, has been beneficial for its members. Increased efficiency from using a single currency, a unified monetary policy, and increasing economic integration through the reduction of barriers to trade and labor mobility. But, like almost any organization, each member has responsibilities. These include running government finances so that tax revenue is sufficient to pay for the type of government that each country wants and needs. Put another way, none of the individual countries should be financially dependent on the other members. In the case of Greece, the government spent more than it was taking in for too many years, living beyond its means and accumulating too much debt. And when the recession hit, tax revenue went down and government spending went up, further worsening the situation. Ireland was a little different. When the economy turned down, the Irish government was quick to take action to reduce its spending. The problems arose largely because of the need to provide massive financial support to many Irish banks, a result of reckless lending and lax risk controls. As the amounts needed to bail out Irish banks grew, so did the Irish government's budget deficit. So much so that the question arose as to whether the Irish government would be able to meet its financial obligations. If Ireland or any member of the EMU were unable to meet their financial obligations, there would be widespread repercussions. Sharply higher interest rates, deep government cutbacks, and economic recession, to name just three. But the problems wouldn't likely stop at the borders of the countries directly affected, and that brings us to the second factor. Global trade and investment flows would also be severely affected. That's because lenders and investors in the core of Europe and elsewhere have significant exposure to Irish banks. It's important to remember that when a government runs a budget deficit, that deficit is funded from private savings. In other words, companies, including banks in other European countries and individual investors, buy the bonds issued by the government. Despite assurances from the Irish government, bond markets were doubtful that Ireland could survive without outside help. This view came partly from the current analysis done by the various companies who invest in government bonds, but it may well also have been influenced by the events in global capital markets during the last 3 or 4 years. Too much has gone wrong, much of it unexpectedly. Without a solution, the problem could have spread to financial markets around the globe. In the end, the decision to provide financial aid to Ireland was influenced by the risk assessment carried out by the individuals and institutions who provide the funding to cover government deficits. So, saving Europe and calming global financial markets are good reasons to help countries such as Greece and Ireland. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll join me next time.